So it's time now for another edition. I know you wait for this every week of the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. Stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything in between. We've got the guy that knows everything there is to know, and then some. And you listen to him, and you'll know more than you came in with. Jack Milne, professional home inspector. Jack, how you doing today?
Great, Barry. You know, it seems like we can't get rid of the winter doldrums here, but
oh my God, you're not kidding.
I'm optimistic. Spring's around the corner, so folks, a few more cold days, and before you know it, it's going to be time for T-shirts and shorts. And
Is that a promise?
I hope so, man. I want to ride my motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
You know, the weather just hasn't been cooperating as of yet, but, very soon, very soon. So
I'm waiting patiently. What's on the agenda for today? You've got some interesting stuff I know to talk about.
Yeah, this is one of those topics where we have these little devices in our home called GFCIs, which stand for ground fault circuit interrupters. And the name of my topic today is how come things that don't make sense within our homes. So I want you to hang in there with me. I thought that I would bring on my sponsors because, of course, without them I wouldn't be on the air today. So I'm going to start off with Borough Exterminating. With March upon us now, folks, if you see any type of swarmers, they may look like carpenter ants with wings, but they could be termites. Reach out to Borough Exterminating at 610-586-5640. Bucksmont Inspections, the best people that really evaluate on-site sewage. So if you have an on-site sewage system and you find that your grass is especially lush, even after this winter months, and your system could be leaking, so get it checked out, 215-669-4213. BrainFlushGear.com, man, they make the best T-shirts and hoodies and tanks and sweatpants and anything else that you may want to make your own. Of course, go to BrainFlushGear.com. Pest Blaster, yep, they do radon, mold, wood-storing insect evaluations, as well as pest removal. So if you have that additional tenant in your attic and you need to get them out quick, 215-295-5555. And, of course, my company, Tri-County Inspection Company. I'll give you a couple numbers for the areas. We'll start in New Jersey today, 856-853-4224. Bucks in Montgomery County, 215-295-2030. And the Lehigh Valley at 610-346-7880. And on the home inspection front, I can tell you the phones are starting to open like someone put the pedal to the metal. And so I did a show a couple of weeks ago about what buyers want to look for when they're buying a home, and I also tried to prep my sellers. So I hope that show proved beneficial to all my listeners. So I'm going to jump into the email box real quick. Greg from Percy. And by the way, Barry, from what I understand, in the old days, they used to call that Percy.
Oh, really?
So I still call it Percy, but
yeah, me too.
Yeah, Greg heard the show on Powerless and contacted me regarding his thoughts on generators. We spoke at length about his needs, and once he came up with a plan to help him and his family. His situation is a classic case of being away from the general population and the last to get his power restored. I gave him Glenn Oss' number at GA Electric for information to get him, in quote, wired up before the next big one. So for anyone who needs Glenn's number, please write it down. It's 215-357-5259 for any questions. As for me, please email me at thehousewhispershow@gmail.com. And, of course, visit your previous shows at housewhispershow.com. And please listen to the podcast at www.db.com. So from my understanding, the show is going to be re-recorded for several times during the week. So I ask that you listen to the station. You never know when my name is going to pop up and the show. And, of course, I want to thank the folks at WWDB. So let's get into today's topic. Again, how come things that don't make sense in our homes? first off, let's start with daylight savings time because that's today. Okay? Hopefully you turned your clocks back at 2 a.m. Now, I never understand who's really up at that hour to re-enjoy dark mornings but later nights. This philosophy actually dates back to when this nation was more agricultural-based than...
Now, wait, I have to ask you now, don't we turn our clocks ahead this time of year?
Oh, geez. No wonder I'm an hour late today.
You're getting me. You're going to make me late for work. Spring ahead, fall back, right?
Yeah. So guys, don't listen to me today. Spring ahead, but that's why it got confusing.
I did it last year. I set the clock the wrong way, and my whole life was screwed up for the rest of the week.
And you know what? It does take a while for us to set our, I'll call it biological clocks for this change.
Oh my God, you're not kidding.
So
and now they change the time when you do it, the time of year. Everything is messed up.
Well, that's true. In fact, George Bush, I think, was the one who pushed it forward 1 week in the fall, but pushed it back 2 weeks in March. So I'm kind of glad he did that around Thanksgiving, just because it gives the kids an hour more of daylight, as they're grabbing up their goodies. But I'm also glad he pushed it forward for us now. But again, the original reason for that was it was time for the harvest in the fall, but time to plant come the spring. But, again, I don't know why we need it anymore. I guess it's good for the politicians. But that's why, again, this segment is called How Come? Politics aside, what about these GFCIs? They are designed to protect against shock and or electrocution, which is a good thing. But today's electrical codes, which, by the way, is established by the manufacturers of our electrical devices, be they switches, receptacles, GFCIs, and AFCIs, are the ones who are changing the code. So to me, this is like the old fox in the hen house. But, I've got to get past that and raise some questions as being a professional home inspector. We have to think where common sense should rule over code, and this is my list for GFCIs. Number one, why do we have ground fault protection now on garage door openers? With the short plugs that garage door openers use, they're placed in the ceilings of the garage, and they have to be reset with a 6-foot ladder. And, like me, I have ladders for everything. But there might be clients who don't have a ladder who can actually reach up there and reset their garage door opener. And I had this happen with a client who brought a brand new home, and she couldn't get into her garage for 3 days until she got someone from the builder to come out and reset it.
Oh, gee.
So she couldn't open it, she couldn't close it, and she's in one of those older, 55 and older communities, and of course doesn't own a ladder. A single pole receptacle, which allows only one device to be plugged into it, would work in this case. But again, these are now code requirements for these GFCIs. Sump pumps, they're our ally in case, we have these heavy rains, water gets past the footings, it goes into a trench and empties into a sump pit, and we pray that your sump pump works to discharge this water to the exterior. But now GFCIs are required on sump pump locations. So in the same woman in the same community, brand new home, brand new codes, the GFCI tripped and water extended over the perimeter drain and affected her new carpet and drywall. It also affected her cedar closet, where she spent an extra $2,500 as an upgrade to have this closet built. She also spent $25,000 in order to get this basement finished. So here she spent close to $30,000, and basically because a $12 GFCI failed shortly after possession, she's got to make some changes.
Wow.
So the builder's representative claimed that it's not the builder's fault, but it's the GFCI's fault because ground fault protections are designed to fail. I love this stuff. Here's another good one, GFCIs on draft-inducing gas water heaters. Now, for you homeowners, a draft-inducing water heater has a blower over top of the water heater that pushes your carbon monoxide to the exterior. In most cases, they are connected via a receptacle at your joist location. Now, again, if the GFCI fails, you don't have hot water. So now that you've had to buy a 6-foot step ladder in order to reset the GFCI in your garage, you may as well bring it down the steps or into your utility area and reset the GFCI for your water heater. So these are the things that I'm running into as a home inspector, explaining things to clients. And, it's a good thing that we're not code officials, because this would frustrate the heck out of me as a homeowner. Washers and dryers. Now, if you have a gas dryer, and hopefully it's an electric clothes washer, which it should be, GFCIs are now required. It's a common fact that motors and GFCIs just don't get along because a surge from the motor may trip the GFCI, which again is designed to fail. And like I said, I love this stuff. If two devices are plugged into a duplex receptacle, typically a GFCI is not required. Okay, you got me on that, because you can't plug anything else into it if you've already got two things that are utilizing that receptacle.
I'll tell you what, how about if at that point we take a little quick break and come back and pick up where we left off, all right?
That sounds great, Barry.
Okay, the House Whisperer is here, and as usual, learning a bunch of important stuff. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Jack Milne, the House Whisperer at WWDB.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers show.
As the summer months quickly arrive and the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.
And we are back once again with the House Whisperer, the man who knows everything from the roof to the basement and in between about your house, and is telling us some of the things. He talks to houses and he hears what they have to say. Welcome back, Jack Milne. Always great to have you on the air here.
Well, thank you, Barry. And as I always tell my listeners, please, if you reach out to my sponsors, let them know that you heard their ad on the House Whisperer show. And today's segment is, I think I've got a lot of stuff, but we're really focusing on ground fault circuit interrupters. These are those little circuited receptacles that you find in your bathroom and your kitchen, but today's codes are now requiring them in other locations, and they can be problematic. And that's where I would really want to dedicate most of this show to the things that I see now on a daily basis, especially for those homes that are probably 5 and younger. So here's another good one, radon mitigation systems. Now, for those of you who had an elevated radon reading and you have a fan installed either outside your structure or up in the attic, the fan may be connected to a GFCI. And guess what, folks? If that trips, well, you're not pulling the radon gases now out of your home. So the only way you can really tell if the system's running is like I do. I put my ear to the tube to see if I hear the fan running, or I check the manometer. So if you have a radon mitigation system, please do me a favor and take a look at that. And keep in mind that a lot of times these mitigation systems are connected right at your sump pump location. So now, again, we've got 2 motors on a GFCI, and chances are it's going to fail at some point. But what if we have a battery backup sump pump system? Well, that, too, is going to require a receptacle because it uses a trickle charge in a battery to make sure that that pump may work for you if you lose power. So, again, here's 3 devices at the same location that may fail, especially when you don't want them to. Here's another good one I see, security systems, where the installers may or may not use the GFCI that is required by code at the electric panel box. So what they do is they insert the transformer to keep the system running, but it also keeps the battery backup charged. Okay? Guess what? Chances are if that GFCI trips, you're now on the battery, which is going to wear out, so if you really need it, it's not going to perform. So I ask all of you to check your own homes and verify where these GFCIs are used because, is it helpful or is it being detrimental? So here's another one, macerator pumps. Macerator pumps are human waste grinders that are found in our basements for when we want to update our basements and put a bathroom downstairs because these macerators have to eject the waste into the sewer line. And the other day, we found a macerator pump that was on a GFCI that had failed, and beside it overflowing, actually the toilet paper kind of rose to the top and was coming out some of the tubes. That's the only way that these people knew that the pump had failed, but they weren't sure why it had failed. So once we reset it, the pump worked again, and this only holds 42 gallons of waste, folks, so it's not a lot. But for those of you who have a macerator pump, I would suggest a pump alarm. This way, if the GFCI fails, this pump's going this alarm is going to give you this obnoxious horn to say, "Don't flush now." So really think about that.
I could just picture that.
Can put that in for you. I'm sorry, Barry?
I could just picture the horn and "Don't flush now."
Don't flush now.
Images are coming into my mind.
So other areas where GFCIs can be found are freezers, refrigerators, ovens, dishwashers, and anything that can be found within a 6-foot radius of a water source. So the good news is, folks, talk to your electrician. Again, if you install a single pole receptacle, then it does not have to be ground fault protected for a lot of these devices, be it the freezer, be it the garbage disposal. So this will help you. But now on the other side of the line, where GFCIs should be installed but are not, okay, that's the key word, not, are garbage disposals. Now think about it, folks. You're cleaning up the dishes after dinner. You're shoveling everything down the drain. Your hands are wet, and then you go to flick an electrical switch, right? Well, why isn't that switch ground fault protected? I don't know, but it should be. Bath fans in shower environments. This one's huge, and I'm seeing it more and more, where not only is the bath fan not over the toilet anymore, but it's over the shower with a handheld shower device. So that handheld thing has a cord, right? Well, think of the kids who are playing in the shower, and they go ahead and they blast this thing up towards an open electrical device called a bath fan. That could lead to electrocution, but that's not in the electrical code. And so when I see that, I flag it. I want an electrician to come back in and ground fault protect that fan. And I've checked into this, and the code officials say, well, it's up to the manufacturer's specifications, which to me, folks, is a wuss out. You know, so if you have a bath fan in your shower, test your GFCI. If it does not shut off the fan, then have an electrician come in immediately. This could seriously affect your life. Another one I get frustrated with are hidden GFCIs. So as part of what we do for a living, we have to trip them as part of the inspection process. But sometimes you can't find where to reset them. So that usually is a call to the listing agent, say, hey, I tripped it. I looked all over the house. Where can it be found, and to make sure that it's pointed out to not only the homeowner but the new home buyer. Another thing I run into are multiple GFCIs that serve the same purpose. For example, bathrooms and kitchens, where every receptacle is a GFCI device. And folks, this gets confusing because you trip one and you don't know which one you tripped. So, you know, we end up running all over the house trying to find out which one is the key or master GFCI, and that's not fun. So typically in today's modern kitchens, 2 GFCIs will serve them all. And please make sure your refrigerator is not on one. And bathrooms, the same thing. Typically you can do up to 4 devices, receptacles, with 1 GFCI. But again, this is where sometimes our townships come in, and they require that this be done. And again, I just kind of laugh at the code inspectors that you know, for these municipalities that say, this is how we want it, otherwise we keep billing you for revisits. So on this note, I do ask that you consult with an electrician if you're running into any of these situations, because it can affect the way that your house operates, and at the same time, it breaks down key components of your home, especially when you need them the most. So, other things that I'm finding, people that are installing windows, new replacement windows, that are not passing what we call egress requirements. And I'm going to spend a whole segment just on that. Other things that are popping to mind, because I know we only have a few more minutes, are trees that are too close to the foundation. It doesn't make sense to me why homeowners, plant the little Christmas tree 35, 40 years ago and has grown into a monster and is too close to the home. It's time to cut it down. Homeowners that don't pay $100 for an annual wood-destroying insect certification, as part of their annual treatment. Because, again, folks, March and April is a time for termite swarms. And it does get frustrating when I'm out there on a home inspection and termite damage is found. And they said, yeah, we had the property treated, 5 or 6 years ago, but we didn't maintain the service contract. So now the seller has to pay for another treatment as well as possible carpentry repairs because they thought it was foolish or whatever, or they forgot to spend that $100 so that they would get this annual evaluation. Don't forget to do that, folks. This is the time of year for that. Also, please evaluate and clean your on-site sewage system every 2 years for $300. It's well worth it. Replacement costs now average between $20,000 and $40,000. So keep the system clean and please don't abuse it. The dollars today are incredible to have it replaced. And of course, with spring, you do want to keep your gutters clear and downspouts extended. If you're looking at your concrete and driveway, if anything like that is directly against your building, it's imperative that you seal it because otherwise it does allow water to leak against your foundation wall and can come into the building. So, these are some of the things that I say, how come? Things that don't make sense. If you don't need that driveway directly against your home or that walkway directly against your home, I would suggest that you remove it and do some regrading and do some planting. If it's low, think of Pachysandra or some other low growth plant that will absorb water. It'll keep your house drier. It'll keep your foundation in better condition. And at the end of the day, your house will thank you for it.
Well, Jack, we are out of time. I have to say, you are a breath of fresh air, except when you were talking about don't flush the toilet downstairs. Other than that, a breath of fresh air.
Well, Barry, as I always like to say, as it is the weekend, please spend time with family and friends, and I'll look forward to chatting with you next time on The House Whisperer.
And if you missed the show, you can go to thehousewhisperer.com. We've got a lot of podcasts on that. Jack, always great having you on the air. We'll talk to you again next time.
Now